Okay, relatives, it's been a while since I did a live video. I just woke up, so please um understand that I might be a little bit puffy-eyed. I might look a little bit like I did just wake up. But I do want to say Hihani Washte. Good morning. And address everybody as relatives. Mitaku yapi. Good morning. Hihani Washte Mataki yapi. Good morning, relatives. It's been a while since I did a live video, so I'm going to do one and share with today's reading out of the Elders Meditation book, Meditation with the Native American Elders. I'm going to start getting back into doing that, so just look for that to start to happen. Probably at least several times a week. I've been doing these for, I'm pretty sure this is year 7. These live videos with meditation with Native American elders out of this book. Excuse me. So it's something that I wanted to start doing again. My heart was telling me start doing it again. And so that's why I decided to sort of just get up this morning and just start doing that again. I want to say a special good morning to my brother, Stace. Good morning, Stace. Love you. And I'm going to do a virtual smudge first. So we'll go ahead and get our day started with the smudge. And this is an act of prayer. Just doing this is praying. But I'm not going to pray on in front of you like that, although I guess I'm just feeling a little bit shy about that. But certainly prayer, usually when I do this, I also pray. That's a really important part of my day to get things going. I don't consider myself a religious person. People always say it's spirituality. So I just kind of use those type of words to describe that. But that is certainly very important part of getting my day started, but also something to do throughout the day. So thank you for watching and watching me get back into the saddle of doing these things. And I always like to issue the disclaimer is that this isn't a professional thing. This isn't something that I rehearsed. There was no rehearsal. The only thing I did was get up out of bed and then decide that I was going to do a video today. And I like it that way. I want it to be like that. I mean, I'm sure if I took notes and sort of contemplated on the reading and sort of meditated on it, maybe did some self-reflection on the reading prior to, and that would be a good way to sort of prepare for the reading. I'm sure that would really help, but I like to just go raw into it. That way it's just been my goal all along when I do these things is to sort of put myself on the spot in that initial reaction towards it, to sort of let others see that happening and experiencing that discomfort for myself. I know how to take notes. I know how to prepare. I know how to self-reflect and get ready. But these videos have always been about, no, I don't want to see it. I want it to be sort of very raw. I want it to be that first reaction towards it. So I always say, sometimes so that's what you'll be seeing. You know what I mean? That's what I'll be sharing, that part of me as well. So nothing fancy. I got to relight it's really damp around here. So I think my sage is a little bit, has that sort of from the humidity to it. But I'll be holding an eagle feather. So when you hold an eagle feather, that really helps you in whatever you're deciding. If you're making a decision or sharing something, that power that is in the eagle feather always really helps with whatever you're doing. And so I'll be doing that as well. So here's today's reading. Believing people can soar beyond ordinary life. Believing people can soar beyond ordinary life. Fool's Crow Lakota. We are created by God to be vision people. First, we set the goal and then we see. If we create within ourselves a picture or vision and we hold that picture or vision in our mind, whatever we picture will show up in our reality. If we can see ourselves being educated, then the schools and the teachers will show up in our lives. If we picture in our mind a positive spiritual person to be in our lives, we will attract this type of person in our relationships. How big can our dreams be? And then there's a brief prayer at the bottom. It says, Great Spirit, let my visions today be your vision. Put within me a vision of the being you would have me be. Then help me to keep the vision in my mind. Okay, so that's really cool. I really like that because it really talks about, I think that it really empowers us to continue to do those type of things. And first of all, believe in ourselves. Believe in that we each have something within us that comes from us, particularly that we bring into this world. And I've seen it just many times over again. That really made me a believer. I've seen it, and then I've also had that happen for me. So I'm really thankful that it says today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but yesterday. Now those are important too. Like if I done something yesterday that was good that I want to carry over into today, that's good. But also there can be something from yesterday that is bugging me. Maybe I did something that is kind of nagging away at me and I need to apologize for it, or I need to do that today and I didn't have enough time yesterday. I was too busy. So this isn't me saying yesterday doesn't matter. Yesterday matters because yesterday is what is shaping me in today. Yesterday is very influential in today, and it's like a cycle. If you picture a line, it's really going to it's really going to sort of, you have a set point and then you have like, and it only goes one way. But if you picture it in a cycle, circular, then those are the type of symbols and those are the type of ways that align themselves with creation. Because our people have always said everything is in a circle. Everything is like that. And anyways, I don't want to go too far into that, but I really like the language that we're using in this, that we're sharing in this. Believing people can soar beyond ordinary life. So believing in each other, believing in self, believing in the Creator, belief. Now, I will always tell you, relatives, that for much of my life, I was definitely, holy smokes, on the wrong path because I didn't believe. Because I didn't, there was just a lot of reasons. But trust me, I shut out, I put a wall around myself and I said, I don't want to know those type of things. I don't want to know. And there was a good reason for that, so I'm not coming down on myself because I was like that at one time. I'm thankful that I was like that at one time because it really helped shape the person that I am today. And though I am far from perfect, I still make a lot of mistakes. I still, am learning. And that's the main thing, is that I want to continue to have that type of attitude. I want to continue to that's what the elder said. is that to always remain teachable, to always know that however old I am always learning, that I have that type of attitude, because that's the way all of creation is. All of creation is about change. All of creation is finding out new information. Yeah, the seasons are pretty predictable, right? But it's there's more to it than that. And there's more to it in me than what you see. In granted, you see if you know me well enough, you know that I have come a long way, but you also know that I have the things that I continue to work on, my weaknesses, shall I say, my character defects, or some old information that I'm still trying to deal with and to bring in new information, however you want to say it. But I really like this because I remember what it was like not to believe in myself. I remember what it was like not to believe in others and not to even trust. I would never even use those type of words. I would never, and if I did, it was typically sort of more being comfortable in using those type of words in a negative type of way. Like I was really quick. And like I said, I'm not shaming myself or coming down on myself. I'm only self-reflecting with you into the camera so that I can, so it all of a sudden makes me feel grateful for the change that has happened. But not only that, it also helps me to continue to believe and to continue to see that change happens on a daily basis. Change in belief really does make a difference. It does work. And so I'm really grateful for that because you know, I can get set in my old ways. I can be having a bad day. Things can really be rough. And and of course that always happens. That's going to happen. That's a part of life. And so the fact that I can just focus on this day, right now, this moment, this hour, and I can think about what kind of vision do I want to have for myself today? What do I want to do? And I'm so thankful that for me, that these type of teachings are here, because now it is bringing new information, new words into my life. And I'll tell you what, I really love that way of life. I love this new information that is allowing me to look at the old information that I received that was really damaging, to the point where I wouldn't believe. I stopped believing. I never really, honestly, relatives, I never really learned how to believe. I just didn't. So it wasn't that I stopped believing. It was that I never learned how to believe. Because when I was young, man, holy smokes, it was rough. Just picture small town South Dakota, you know, they like things to say the same. You know what I mean? And that was, in that, the way that was, now I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm not meaning to upset anybody. I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. But maybe you can some way relate to it. But in small town South Dakota, when I was growing up, if you were Native American, you were in trouble. Even if you didn't do anything to be in trouble, you were either in trouble, or you were going to be in trouble, or you just came out of being in trouble just for existing, just for being who you are. So you can see the power of belief and how that can damage other people, but also how that can damage self, how that can influence self in that negative way. And I'll tell you what, because at the time I was so young, the messages were very clear, and it's not a figment of my imagination, relatives. It's not something that I'm like making up. I guess, you know, I know a lot of people do understand because it doesn't have to necessarily be about racism, or it can be like if you look different or you just feel different on the inside from everybody else, and that can so you can that can happen to anybody. But over time, when it happens on a regular basis, and you're not receiving spiritual teachings, or you're not receiving those type of parenting, or those type of kinship relationships to teach you how to deal with. Like if somebody said something to me today that they did way back then, I mean, it would virtually have no effect on me. And the only effect that it would have would be as a reminder of those things are still around. And that is because I've learned how to, I've learned self-esteem. I've learned the threats to my self-esteem. I've learned I've learned how to cope with that. I've learned how to deal with that. And at first, back then, you used your fist. You know, you called me names. Well, guess what's going to happen? We're gonna go. You know, you wanted this, so it's going to happen. You know, and that was the only way that I knew how to deal. Well, not just the only way, but I didn't know how to cope with those type of things. And so it was to think about the future was to use that narrative. That narrative that was on TV, because back then TV was much different. And, you know, I really wasn't exposed to very much spirituality or religion to make me understand who I was. But back then, holy smokes, what I heard was fire, brimstone. You got to be a good boy or you're going to be punished. And since I was being told by society that it was negative to be me, when I saw those type of things, I was pretty much convinced that I was an old sponsor was sharing from the at a meeting a couple weeks ago, and this guy's just a character. He's not native, but you know, I just love him. My old sponsor Larry, he talked about feeling that way. He's not native, but he felt that way too growing up. He had been dealing from a young age with mental health. Of course, back then mental health was viewed much differently than it is now. Now when you mention mental health, it feels a lot safer. It feels like when you mention mental health, like you can think of resources. You can think of almost empowerment. I'm acknowledging mental health as something that is very positive. Back then, when you mentioned mental health, man, you saw, at least for me, but that was kind of the way it was with my peers, when you mentioned that, you didn't even talk about it, because then you pictured a straitjacket, you pictured someone screaming and being led away and being isolated and thrown into a padded cell. So things have changed. But my old sponsor said this. He said, you know, when I grew up, I just felt so low that, and this is funny, okay? He says, I felt so low that if a snake farted, then it would blow sand in my face. And when he said that in the meeting the other day, you know, and he was really sharing good. It was mainly just men in the meeting. And anyways, I just talked to him yesterday. But I just thought that was funny. But, you know, that's what things can do, is make you feel so low that you don't really feel like you're good enough to have a vision. You're good enough to have a connection. You can really feel as though in a 24 hours or within a lifetime or part of a lifetime, a good chunk of my lifetime was with that feeling. And so it's no wonder that Man, I tell you what, I'm just really lucky for change. Definitely lucky for change. Definitely feeling grateful for change, shall I say. Grateful for change. Because I don't like to use the word luck because that kind of makes it seem as though that, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. And I'll just put it that way. And so it says that we are all created to be vision people. And in other words, no matter where you're at, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter what kind of car you're driving, no matter what kind of cell phone or what kind of water, I drink tap water, that the materialism world, this is the type of thing that transcends or goes beyond, is more important than the material world, is that we are all have been given that vision. And so I love that because that makes me feel connected to you. That makes me feel like I'm connected with you. That makes me feel that I am not down here, you're up there, or I'm up here and you're down there. That makes me feel like that kinship, that brotherhood, that sisterhood, that relative. And that's something that is really good for my self-esteem and my healing today, and also brings me into balance, in harmony thinking. Brings me in harmony because, I mean, just think about that. Would the grandmas and grandpas really want us to be running around treating people as if they were less than, or treating people like they were better than? You know what I mean? To me, my spiritual inclination says no. You know that, and the evidence is there. When we understand that, hey, this is my attitude right now, and I really need to pray or really need to self-reflect so that my attitude can change. Now all of a sudden, 1 minute, I'm this way, and the next minute I've changed. And so this is the type of thing that really helps do that. I like it that it says whatever we picture will show up in our reality, and that's true. Because back when I was younger, I pictured the reality that was based upon the information that was very negative towards me, even though that I was just a child, that was the picture that was given to me, and it was really forced upon me. And I took it on because I didn't know how to protect myself from that. And so I naturally, that is the picture that I carried about myself. And so that is the picture, that is the vision that's got set forward. And guess what? No matter what, it was created. It happened, and it became a cycle. And it became a cycle that I felt like I couldn't get out of. Like I didn't have hope. I couldn't see that change was going to be possible for me. It was very, very difficult. And I'm really thankful. And my prayers and my heart goes out to the people that are in that. And so I just want to be able to, today, I just see the blessing in having that happen because now I understand. And now I know what it's like. And now I know, like, man, I could really be helpful. That's what I want to do. That's the vision that I want to create for myself, is I want to change that. And that has happened. And granted, it's not all at once. I still struggle with my own things that are difficult, that bring hardship upon myself, and that does affect other people, like that are close to me. But then again, that's a part of the cycle of life, is that everybody is on that same journey, that everybody has their struggles with what's going on with themselves too. So in other words, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that struggles in some areas. Your strength might be the area that I struggle with, and vice versa. My strengths might be the area that you struggle with. So that does bring balance into life. And that really helped me when I realized that I'm starting to open up. I'm starting to get honest with myself. I'm starting to open up, and I'm starting to hear myself say these things. And that really brought me closer to other people. And I had never done that. I said, no. How could that bring me closer to other people? I really had that belief system really, really deep. And so that was very, very, very challenging. It took a lot of work, but it was one day at a time. And it was something that I started to really need help in. And so I really did accept that help, and I still continue to know that that's the type of thing that is a cyclical thing too, is that I'm within that cycle of helping each other. Sometimes I always need the help, Relis. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to be real honest with you. I always need that help, but at the same time, we're in this together. And so we're helping each other. You're helping me. I'm going to let you be a relative to me, and I'm going to help you. You're going to let me be a relative to you. And when you're going through those times where it's particularly tough, I'm still going to be a relative to you, because guess what? You're letting me help you. You're letting me be a relative to you, and it's cyclical. We're relatives, and we're creating a vision individually as individuals, but we're creating a vision that is collective, a vision that is affecting the cycle of life. And now, I'm thinking about the ancestors. I'm thinking about the grandmas and grandpas now, because that's what they knew was going to happen. They knew that we were going to go through those type of times, and they knew that we were going to come through that changing. We were going to be a part of that cycle, a part of that change, And they are going to be a part of it, because the unseen world in our traditional perspective is as real as this feather is right here. And so now they're affected because we're bringing them into our lives, a very active part of my decision making today, a very active, but not just my prayers, granted, as great as that is, as life-changing as that is, because at one time I didn't believe in prayer. I didn't want nothing to do with it. Stay away if you do. But today I believe in that, and now I'm inviting our relatives, we call it in the spiritual world, in the unseen world, into my decision making, into my everyday, into how I go about my day. Now that also influences the future as well, because now that great vision is in motion. And since I am doing that, I am doing the things that those things are going to continue to the next generation. And so now my granddaughter, my daughter in the next generation are going to learn this new information and put away that old information that was damaging to me, to our people. We're putting that away. We've identified it as damaging. We've identified it as toxic. We have identified it as something that is out of balance. We've identified it as something that is out of harmony. We made that, we've seen it, and now we're learning how to not only see it, but also apply it into our lives, how it has affected me as a person, how it has affected us as a people. And now we're saying, okay, we see it now. And now guess what? I can't have a vision unless I see that. Now I'm able to create a vision. That can start now. You don't have to be at a certain point. Oh man, he's he's obtained his degree, and now he can have a vision. Oh, he's sober, and now he can have a vision. You can have a vision about sobering up while you're still drinking. You can have a vision about being happy while you are unhappy, because you bring these type of things into it. Belief. And that does set in motion that energy that is all around us, but also within us. They start to match up. They match up. They become in harmony. They become in balance. And now it talks about how then we can see ourselves, we picture ourselves, and then we hang on to that picture. We hang on to that vision. We do the things that it takes that feels right in that balanced space for that. And now today that might not mean, oh, do the great big thing like whatever that is to you. That could be, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say my prayers. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have a cup of coffee rather than, a shot of whatever. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make that phone call that I need to make. I'm going to wake up. The first things first for me, I think it's the what I've been taught and what works for me is I do this type of thing. As I smudge, I usually sing a prayer song or I say a prayer, and that gets forward in that motion coming from that dream state. It's that sacred time between exiting that dream state and coming into this reality, because the dream state is a reality. Okay? And so there really is no difference. It's just that we're taught that there's a difference. And so it's a sacred time in that space. Just like when the sun comes up and the moon is going down and they're even with each other, that's a very sacred time, because the power of the sun starts waking the day up, starts waking everybody up, starts waking up the plants, the sun, like when you go out and pick sage or pick cedar, it's always good, if you can, to go after a rain. After the rain has cleansed that plant, and then the sun dries it. So it's natural. And so it's kind of like that with our lives, is that Mother Nature is all around us, and that's what we are. We are Mother Nature. And I don't know about you, but that really makes me feel good about myself, because this world that we live in now is can be very, very stressful, can be very, very challenging. And yes, there's still a lot of racism around. There's a lot of people that would love for me just to cut my hair and, just act this way. And there's a lot of people, honestly, relatives, there's a lot of people I know that think that the way that I believe is like satanic. The way that I believe is evil. I'm telling you, I know this. Relatives, I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I know this to be true. Okay? So, things have changed, but there's still a long ways to go to change, but at least we're within that change. And personally, I'm so glad that I don't have to feel that if somebody says that I practice satanic ways, that I'm able to say, that it isn't going to hurt my self-esteem the way that it did before. So we are all spiritual beings. And so for me, that's like the fundamental belief. That's the core belief, is that we are all spiritual belief. Not me. Now, it's important for me to remember that. I don't ever want to forget that. I don't ever want to go back to the way that things were, the way that I was before, ever. Man, I'll tell you what, no, I suffered enough, and I deserve to feel good today. I deserve to have genuine self-esteem. I deserve to feel good about myself. I deserve people around me that love me. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to love other people. I deserve to value other people. I deserve to feel valued. But at the same time, if I'm doing things that are pushing people away, that is a sacred moment too for me to be able to say, to reflect on that. Whether that's good, I need to push people away that are negative in my life. That can be a good thing, or it can be a sacred time where it says, I'm pushing somebody away that I care about. And so, in other words, the work doesn't stop. We want to be learners. We don't just want to be takers. We want to be caretakers. We want to have that responsibility. We want to carry it around, not like it's 5 tons, but we are that responsibility. It is within us that respect that we can have for ourselves, for other people. And I've seen it happen, relatives. I'm telling you, it's just too powerful and too wonderful to ignore. I can't do it anymore. I can't ignore it. It's just too loving and empowering for me not to be a part of. I got to be a part of it, relatives, and I want others to be a part of it as well. Holy smokes. And so how big can our dreams be? That's up to each individual. Some people want to have different dreams. Some people have other dreams, and every dream is equally important, whether your dream is to be in the White House or whether your dream is to raise your family and to change this thing. That's what we're doing, man. So, and so I appreciate that, because today I have better relationships with people. It really has affected me in such a good way that I just have a lot of gratitude towards that, because it's you that are my teachers. It's you that have taught me how to continue to be a learner. To have that mentality that I am always learning, that I am a grandson, and all of creation are grandmas and grandpas. And I really believe this, relatives. I really believe this. I'm telling you. I didn't know my grandmas and grandpas. I didn't know my blood grandmas and grandpas. I met my grandpa Oliver a few times. He was drinking, he was in his own alcoholism. I didn't really know him. So I don't really know about that. I didn't grow up with my father, so there's a lot that is and was missing from my life that I wonder about, and that my heart is kind of like healing from. That like when I see other people having those type of relationships, there's a sad place within my heart that I feel. But yet, every day is that opportunity that I acknowledge that. I'm honest with myself about that. I acknowledge that, and I'm honest about that. I don't need to go around. If I want to, I don't need to go around. That's my choice. Okay, that's my choice. I'm going to put myself into places where people will honor that part of me. Will honor my honesty, and I will honor theirs. And so since that's happened, I have met a lot of people around that age that helped me with that. And so now, our own spiritual belief, like I'm a grandson to Grandmother Earth. I'm a grandson. We don't know, because this is in spiritual thinking, we don't know when a grandma or grandpa is going to show up. Because typically when we think of grandmas and grandpas, we think of our grandmas and grandpas, right? But what if you didn't grow up or know your grandmas and grandpas, such as my case? I didn't know them. Never saw them. Only one. Never saw them. Never heard their voice or even saw pictures of them. And so I kind of got to use my imagination. But I also know that they're there. I also know that according to our spiritual beliefs that they are still here. In here. but they are still they're still alive in the spirit world. I really believe that because I feel that. And so that helps me create that vision. That helps me, and it's in all the literature. So now that I have that belief, and now so Mother Nature and the spirituality back that up, reinforce that, strengthen that. And in our traditional way, a grandpa or a relative can show up in any form. Now that's why when in the Inipi, in the Sweat Lodge, we refer to the stones as Tunkashalapi, as Tunkashalas, grandfathers. Now there's an old story behind that. I'm not going to tell that story because I'm a little bit rusty on that story, but because everything is moving. Everything, not one thing isn't moving. So what appears to be still, if you look closely at it, there's much more that the human eye doesn't see. There's much more to this world, to life, to being, to thoughts, to energy, to belief, to this day, much more than what we see with our eye and what we see on TV and what other, so that really, so I like it because they say that an elder can show up, or a child can show up, or something can happen that is very powerful. But what we're not taught is we bring that into the world. We bring that. We are the gift to creation. We are equally a part of that as the President of the United States. And don't make me go there. I'm not going to go there politically. But you know what I mean. And so, when we're in harmony, we are believing that about ourselves, and we are believing that about the next person, and we are in harmony, and that creates that type of energy of everybody deserves to be respected, everybody deserves to be loved like me, and that creates and lets go of that old energy, almost like a natural release, and then brings in energy that then creates, which is natural, because all of creation believes that too. And so that sets in motion, that sets that energy, that cycle. And when we believe that the relatives of all of creation we are a part, we're not better than, but we are a part. Holy smokes, that will help you create vision, and that will help you identify that information that you no longer need anymore, and that will help you identify the new information that the old information was keeping you from. And so I like it because you never know what you'll learn. The animals have been our great teachers. There's stories over and over and over again. So we treat the animals as equal. And that too is a part of that natural flow. Like Daku Wakan. Daku Wakan. That which has energy. That which is sacred. Daku Shkan Shkan. That which brings movement. Okay? We can see that there's energy when I do this. Like this is producing wind, right? This eagle feather, right? Well, the energy is all around. It's everywhere. It's within us. It's in our skin. It's what we bring too. It's everywhere. So when we have those type of beliefs, we become in harmony with that energy. And that helps us create a vision. And That is so powerful, relatives, that it almost leaves me speechless. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that we were able to visit today. I hope you have a good day. And if you're having a bad day, just understand that you are a creation from like a miracle. You call it what you will. I know that's kind of a religious term, but I just really believe that. And when you don't believe that you're equally, that is out of balance. And that came from somewhere. So I can only hope and pray and help, because somebody helped me and somebody will continue to help me. Others will help me to identify, where did that belief come from? Where did that energy come from? Where did that vision come from that somebody put upon me to make me feel less, to make me feel a certain way? And that didn't belong. And now I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take that out of me. I'm going to pray it out. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to say, this is damaging me. Would I tell that to a grandchild? No. So why am I allowing that to be a part of my day today? And granted, we're only human. That will happen. That's why this is a one day at a time thing. That's why this is a today thing. And that is something that I'm going to trust and release and let creation have it. And creation knows what to do with it. Creation knows what to do with that. Creation is medicine. And since we're a part of creation, we are medicine. And so what happens is when we identify that, it'll set forth in motion that cycle. And it'll start to say, oh, that feels right to see it. That feels right. And now I'm going to release that. Maybe I don't know how to release that. At one time I didn't know how to release that. But it still is energy in motion. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a psychologist. You don't have to be. You already are. You already are. Just the materialism of this world teaches us and brings imbalance. And the spiritual world and the spiritual way of life allows us to cope and to be successful in whatever success looks like for you. That's up to you. And so sets in motion and will release it. And what happens is that then creation will then identify that healing place and it knows where to go already. And then it'll start to teach us about the healing. And so with that, anyways, I'm going to go, relatives. I'm going to get back into doing these are just shares, okay? This isn't professional. This isn't anything that you can't do either. Just make sure you understand that. If anything, if one thing is that is that you are this as well. This isn't a perfect thing. There's a lot of mistakes that I've made and said during this talk, I'm sure. But hey, as goes life. But as long as I keep on believing, as long as I stay a learning. Stay a learner, then you know what? I'm just really thankful for that. So I just want to say, Creator, may Creator bless you. Wakantika niyawashte. I will see you soon. Oops, now I got to wait to finish this.